From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. The Federal Court of Canada is being asked to declare that artificial intelligence cannot be considered an author when it comes to Canada's copyright law. David Fewer, director at the University of Ottawa Law Clinic, which filed the application, says copyright is meant to regulate human activity.
To make sure that we just don't go ahead and dump all of the powerful rights and the very extensive rights associated with copyright on things that aren't copyright, on things that aren't human, on things that don't need that incentive scheme.
Ottawa is in the process of deciding how the Copyright Act should treat artificial intelligence and said in a recent consultation it was open to different approaches to the question of authorship. With the growing threat of respiratory syncytial virus infections, Canada's Immunization Advisory Committee is recommending that seniors aged 75 and older get vaccinated. RSV often causes mild, cold-like symptoms, although a severe lower respiratory tract infection could require hospitalization. Canada's Public Health Agency says older adults, as well as infants, are at higher risk for severe illness from the virus. Currently, there are 2 RSV vaccines available in Canada. If you live in Nova Scotia and you have been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, you can now apply for funding to cover insulin and supply costs. The program, which previously only applied to those under 26 years of age, is now open to applicants of all ages. Data suggests that more than 450 people will be eligible for the program. Insulin pumps cost around $6,300 and supplies cost $4,000 each year. On the international stage now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is continuing his tour of the U.S. to build more support for his country's fight against Russian invaders. Speaking with state governors in Utah, Zelensky had a simple message.
All our friends in America and all Americans who support Ukraine, our people, our freedom, our independence in this terrible war started by Russia. Thank you so much for your support.
Zelensky's plea came days after NATO leaders met in Washington and pledged more help for Ukraine. NATO members, including Canada, also agreed to a new program to provide reliable military aid to Ukraine and prepare for its eventual membership in the alliance. And finally, local officials say an oil depot caught fire in Russia's southwestern Rostov region following a Ukrainian drone attack. It is just the latest long-range strike by Kyiv's forces on a border region and follows a growing trend of aerial assaults on Russian soil. Those attacks have been limited to targeting refineries and oil terminals in an effort to slow down the Kremlin's war machine. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, starting off with some Major League Baseball news, the Arizona Diamondbacks rallied to beat the Toronto Blue Jays 5-4. That means the Blue Jays have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. Meanwhile, Willie Calhoun hit a 2-run walk-off homer in the 10th inning, sending the Los Angeles Angels to a 6-5 victory over the Seattle Mariners. Now over to the CFL, where Zach Caleros threw his first touchdown pass of the season into the hot hands of rookie Ontario Wilson. Dietrich Nichols recorded a 55-yard interception return for a score, as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Calgary Stampeders 41-37. And finally, group play pools for the second edition of the NBA's in-season tournament, the Emirates NBA Cup, have been announced. The Toronto Raptors are in a group with Milwaukee, Indiana, Miami, and Detroit. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.